What's up, good people? This is Isaiah. And as we look at the tape, no, we're not going to be talking about Aldo here. I'm shooting this video because I was inspired by David Wiley over at Another Eden Adventures. You know, he did his guaranteed 5-star pull, right? Guide of the Heavens banner, and I just happened to have it. Figured I'd film it, and mainly to, you know, go through my thought process when it comes to deciding things. And I may have already did a video about this or briefly mentioned it in a few other videos, but if I did, I don't remember it. So that's why I'm making this one, and I don't see it anywhere in the library of videos I made. So here we go, right? Anyway, so let me get out of here. All right, so we got this calming music here. Granted, Journey's End. I mean, I don't know, man. PTSD for Journey's End. I mean, especially that final fight, you know, against that boss. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, so the very first thing I do here when it comes to being able to pick characters is I look at, again, for those that know, right, it's just like there's only there's 4 KOF fighters, Twiggy, Poporo, and then there's my shadow units, which are like the 3 lance units, Hozuki, Tuva, and Jade, 2 staff users, Shadow Staff, Impel, Dunarith, and the 1 katana user, Izuka, Alter. All right. So with that in mind, before I even go about picking characters, I'm looking at, okay, where are these characters currently at? And then I'm also asking myself, how much light or shadow points do I have left over? Okay. So for example, if I were to pop over to this light here, and I look at this, there's 537. So if Another Eden came out with another Fist character, would I be able to get that character to 255? The answer in this case would be yes. Okay. Because it's 255 times 2 is 510, and I have 537, you know, for this. So what I can easily do right now is simply max out a character. Though this is kind of pointless, and the primary reason why is the same reason why I was just looking at Tithy. If we look at who I have left here, let me sort by light. It's a bit easier for you all. They're all gotcha characters, or they're all free characters, right? We have Kula, Kyo, Mai, Terry, Twiggy, and that's it. All right, for the Fist here, free units. I can grant a dungeon for them, though Twiggy, pretty damn sure he doesn't have a dungeon, though. I mean, I guess TTW. I mean, that would always work for free units. Okay. So in this case, because it's only free characters, I'm not really concerned. So right away, this tells you that I'm not going to be picking any Light Fist characters for this banner. You know what I mean? So Light Fist off the table. Okay. Considering I can get 2 units to 255 now. You know what I mean? So I'm not going to be doing anything Light Fist related. I said Poporo, who I believe is a hammer unit. Let me just double check that here. Yeah, Poporo, he's the only one left. Again, free unit. Not going to worry about it. But again, that same concept still applies. 455, I need 510. If I wanted to get to the 510 easily, you know what I mean, then I would, of course, go ahead and pick, say, any of these 5-star hammer units. Okay? Because you can pick 7. Get the extra 16 light. Myunfa, 2 styles. Okay, so that's 2. Yifa, 2 styles. That's 2. That makes it 4. And then, say, Valette, 2 styles. 6. Assuming she's even in the list. All right? And then someone else. Right? It could be May. Right? I believe it's limited to 5 stars. So it would be May in this case. You know what I mean? But anyway, not going there. And then we have the other side of things, you know what I mean? And that would be Shadow. Mainly, it's Shadow Lance here, where there's only 1, 2, and 3 gotcha units here. Okay? So that's 2 for Milsha, 1 for Hozuki, and then 1 for Tuva. That's only 4. All right, that leaves me with an additional 3. You know what I mean? In which case, this would be completely pointless to say, oh, I'm going to focus on, say, Hozuki or Tuva, get it into 255, right? I'd be better off using my trials for it, to be honest. Only 8 there, because these are all the only gacha units. Okay. Moving on. What else we have? We have Staff, all right? Which, like I said, is just Impel into Nerith. Now, fortunately for Staff, there's more units to pick from. All right, I can actually pick a Nerith, all 3 versions of them. Okay, that gives me 3. Hozuki, she has normal style, another style. That's another 2. That's 5. Radika, can pick both versions of her. That puts me at 7. And then, of course, I can easily take the spill over and give them to Nerith here. All right, 147. I don't have that 510. Again, this to account for if Another Eden came out with another unit. You know what I mean? That's why I'm sticking with the 510 rule here. Okay, but how far is he's at 112 actually, which would be what, 2, geez, I'm thinking 355, not 255. Oh man, 143. So I can get him to 255 now. You know what I mean, and be just fine with it. Okay, or I can just leave him where he's at. You know, doesn't really matter to me at the end of the day. You know, like I said, the extra, if I did the pull, all right, and went with Luring Shadow, then I'll get the extra 16, because I'm only going to pick out the maxed out characters, which is, fortunately for me, all of them. You know what I mean? So I would get the extra 16 for pulling on that unit. And then, of course, this takes me from 147 to, oh boy, 116, 147, 16, 163. All right. And it's like, all right, I can max him out if I wanted to. Impel, I'm not really worried about, because I can just run his dungeon. You know what I mean? So nothing really to worry about there. And then finally, what else we have? We had the katana user. The one katana user left, the 255 Iska Alter. All right. Which, let's see, how many do I have? 440. I can do this now, actually. And still have plenty left over to at least max out one gacha unit in case they were to release one. Because the 440, 80, that's 360, I believe. Actually, no, to get her to 255, my math is all off today. Jeez, I need to sleep more. 80, 80 from 255 is what I should have been thinking about, which is only 175, and I'll have more than enough to get out, say, a new unit. 175 at least. Though I'm barely making it. You know, it's 265 left over versus the 2 or the 510 that I was wanting earlier. You know what I mean? So, and that's pretty much it. So then the question here then becomes, well, who the hell do I pick? Right? Like I said, I don't want to do a damn thing with the Light Fist or the Twiggy or Poporo, right? I don't want nothing to do with light units right now. You know, it's just the shadow units. Who to pick? You know what I mean? Obviously, I'm not going to pick anything, say, Lance related, unless they came up with more Lance users. Because then it would actually make sense for me to pick Lance users at that point. You know? But right now, there's only the 3. Technically, only 2, if I'm not mistaken. I'm thinking 3 because there's 3 units here, but it's really only 2, Hozuki and Tuva. You know, but 3 in regards to Milsha, Hozuki, and Tuva. Granted, Milsha has 2 styles, so I guess you could say that's 4. But still, give me 3 more, and then we'll be good. You know what I mean? So yeah, the question then becomes, like I said, who do we pick? And honestly, I don't know. That's why I'm shooting the video, right? Do I get the Nerith to 255 next? Do I get Impel to 255 next? Uzuka, do I get her to 255? Because why not? You know what I mean? Who do I pick? I'll leave that to the comment section, all right? Like I said, it's not going to be anything light related. I'm not really worried about light characters right now. Yeah, those are really your options here. Let me pop back. We got the katana and staff. Only 3 units to pick from. you know, of these three. Impel, Dunarith, or Izuka. You know what I mean? 126. Yeah, I'll have enough left over for him. So, leave it to you guys, you know, to determine who I pick out of this batch. Probably going to be first comments, you know what I mean? For this, really. So, yeah, that's pretty much it for this one. I'm not going to do any pulling yet, like I said. Kind of want to make it interactive. Okay, hold on. 7-star pieces approaching. What is the 7 stars piece? That's not it. That's brand new. What is the 7-star pieces talking about? This? No. Or is it this over here? I don't know. I'll figure it out. But, yeah. Oh, yeah, this is definitely what they're talking about. Duh. So, yeah. Let me know, guys. Who do you think should be picked here? You know what I mean? You may have to watch either David's video or simply go to the Another Eden wiki to determine which characters I pick. You know what I mean? And then first comment, I'll shoot the video. You know what I mean? So, take your 7, and then I'll go ahead and pick them, and then we'll see what we get. All right? So, that's pretty much it for this one. I'll get out of here and talk to you all later.